back with another reaction video, and I'm here with my boy
Trey Dizzy, boy.
And we finna get into 10 darkest cartoon conspiracy theories to creep you out. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I be figuring out this.
Most of us will remember the feeling of waiting for a Saturday morning so that we could watch the cartoons that we loved. And it was usually a perfect way to begin the weekend. Some of these cartoons are still famous today, but as grown-ups, some people have attached strange theories to them that may just ruin your childhood. Number 10. Scooby-Doo is surely one of the most famous cartoons ever produced. In every episode, the gang and their beloved Great Dane run into trouble of some kind, usually involving a ghost or other paranormal entity. And by the end, the villain is unmasked and revealed to be a mere mortal before they're taken away to prison. Over the years, the show has had several strange theories attached to it, mostly because of the show's often dark appearance and the strange characters that the gang comes across, not to mention the fact that Scooby can talk. One such theory suggests that Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, Fred, and Scooby are actually fugitives on the run from the law, since they decided to leave America, fleeing to Canada to avoid being drafted for the Vietnam War. This is said to finally explain why they never seem to have a set destination in mind when traveling in their van called the Mystery Machine, since they're merely trying to avoid being tracked down by the police. Since Shaggy is seen as somewhat of a flower child, it's said that he was dead set against the war and decided to take his dog Scooby with him when he went on the run. The theory then suggests that Fred was in military school, but when his draft number came up, he decided to go AWOL instead. Daphne is said to be Fred's high school sweetheart, and so she decided to follow him when he absconded from his military duty. And Velma is an anti-war activist who chose to follow the gang wherever they went just to get away from the war. But there is another theory that many people see as plausible, despite it being a mere fan theory. It suggests that the show takes place during an era of economic depression, which explains why most of the buildings seen in the background are run down and uncared for. The Depression had a severe effect on everyone, including the rich and famous, who were then forced to eke out an existence as criminals, who all had very specific skills. But since they were so well known, they were forced to hide their identities by wearing monster disguises. This ensures that no one can blame them for the crimes that are committed, unless, of course, the gang manages to stumble across the mystery and solve it, unmasking the true perpetrator in the process. Since all 4 human members of the gang are still teenagers, this also explains why they never attend school, and instead drive around the country looking for...
Bro, what you think about that?
What? About how the fucking environment's all run down and shit?
Yeah.
Bro, low-key, that shit low-key crazy because the Great Depression was in 1920, 1930. Learned that in history. But yeah, so that means this show takes place a long time ago.
Man. What you think about Scoob, a talking dog?
Scoob? Why see a talking dog right here? You don't see me talk.
Yeah, alright. Why? What you think about Scoob?
Scoob.
Mm-hmm.
Scoob, that's the GOAT. You know, Shaggy and Scooby, they always been my favorite, you know.
For cases to solve.
This guy!
They're also said to live in the van together, since they don't have any homes to go back to, and have been rendered homeless by the dire state of the economy.
Shout out to you.
Could this also be why Shaggy is always hungry? Since the gang never gets paid for any of the mysteries they solve, it would be exceedingly hard to afford any type of food, and hence Shaggy takes every opportunity he gets to fill his and Scooby's stomachs. These theories paint a very bleak picture of the gang's lives, but they do explain some questions that fans have had for decades since the show first aired. Number 9. Another lesser known and yet still very fondly remembered cartoon from back in the day is Inspector Gadget. It follows the exploits of a bumbling half-cyborg police inspector who manages to solve crimes with the help of Penny Brown, his niece, and her dog, Brain. Together, they attempt to stop the evil plots of Dr. Claw, though Gadget is usually saved from precarious situations by Brain, while Penny manages to solve most of the crimes, unbeknownst to Gadget and the rest of the world. The cartoon series proved popular enough to spawn a live-action movie that starred Matthew Broderick in the title role. But it's also been the subject of some strange fan theories over the years, and the show is even said to have predicted the future on a few occasions. Some examples of this include the fact that Penny seems to be using a device similar to an iPad or other type of tablet in just about every episode. And considering that the show's last episode originally aired in 1985, this is something that would not have been available at the time. Then there's the fact that Gadget's car, the Gadget Mobile, is a self-driving vehicle, another piece of tech that would not have been available in the 80s, but has now become a reality in modern times. Added to this is the fact that Gadget often relies on the car's GPS system to get him where he wants to go, often with hilarious results as the system is hacked by Dr. Claw, prompting Penny to jump into action. All the while, Gadget is completely unaware that things have gone awry, which many people see as a prediction that will always assume that technology will work correctly, only to be proven wrong time and time again. One aspect of the show that's always kept us enthralled was the fact that we never got to see the villain, Dr. Claw's, face. No one had any idea what he looked like, and furthermore, we were left at a loss as to why we weren't allowed to see his face. But one fan theory looks to explain this one strange detail. It suggests that Dr. Claw and Gadget are the same person, and that Gadget is a recreation of Claw, who, according to the theory, used to be a police detective who was involved in a horrific accident that disfigured his face. It further states that Penny was Claw's niece, and after hearing about his accident, she sets about creating a crime-fighting cyborg with gadgets built in, completely ignoring the fact that her uncle is still alive. In many of the episodes, Penny is captured by the villain, but she always manages to escape somehow. And theorists have posited that this is because Claw recognizes her as his niece, and hence would never harm her.
For the video.
He still cares a great deal about Penny, and so he doesn't do anything about the fact that she constantly foils his evil plans. But there is also another theory stating that Gadget and Claw are the same person. This is said to be proven in the opening theme song visuals, when Gadget spins Claw's chair around, only to find that he isn't there, and a moment later, an explosive device detonates while he's handcuffed to a fake metal arm. These may just be theories that have been dreamed up by fans of the show, but they certainly do answer many of the questions we had growing up. Number 8. When it comes to famous cartoons, few can boast about the size of a fan base that the Flintstones had during its prime. And even today, it's fondly remembered by those who spent hours watching this prehistoric family and their antics. Not only were the characters very entertaining, but they also had gadgets that usually took the form of animals around their houses, and offices which brought an extra element of comedy and whimsy to the show. While we all know that the cartoon is set during the Stone Age, there is a theory that states they're actually from a far more modern time, and in fact maybe living in a future where the world is a very different place. The first clue lies in the cartoon's opening theme song. One line contains the lyrics, quote, "They're the modern Stone Age family," which we always assumed meant that they were from the distant past. But what if it meant that they're from a Stone Age that hasn't happened yet? They may have had to reinvent tools using animals, and since the theme song also states they're a page right out of history, it might be that they're living like people from the first Stone Age rather than being a part of it. This would explain why the characters understand the concept of things like blenders, cars, moving equipment, and electric razors, since those items come from our time, which would be the Flintstones' past. Then there's the theory surrounding the character, the Great Gazoo, who's an alien that has been exiled to Earth after it was discovered that he'd created a doomsday device. Keep in mind that Gazoo also appears in another cartoon, Dodgers, which is set in the 24th century, and hence it's suggested that he traveled back to the second Stone Age after his exile. One of the wildest theories, though, suggests that the Flintstones and the Jetsons, a family who lives in the future, actually live in the same era. It's stated that Earth was decimated by a cataclysmic event that forced humans to retreat and live in the sky. But some people chose to stay behind and now live like cavemen, while the rest of humanity ride around in flying cars and live in floating houses. Number 7.
That's
While the
crazy.
Powerpuff Girls proved to be immensely popular with cartoon viewers
Samurai
during
Jack.
the 90s and early 2000s,
Ooh.
Samurai Jack, which first aired in 2001,
That's you and that's me.
wasn't for everyone since it was often seen as repetitive.
No,
But
you're
the
a
show
Powerpuff
still
Girl,
had
I'm
many
Samurai
fans who never missed an
I know
episode.
you are.
The shows couldn't be more different. Samurai
Can I say
Jack
backwards?
centers on a samurai
Oh
from
my
ancient
God,
Japan
bro.
who's flung through time by his enemy, Aku, in the moment before he's defeated. And as the show progresses, he attempts to find his way back to his own time, while also looking to destroy Aku, who wants to take over the world. While the
does kinda look
Powerpuff
like your
Girls
dad.
also fight against evil villains, the show is set in one location, their hometown of Townsville, where they were created using the mysterious chemical X by Professor Utonium, a genius scientist who also serves as their parent. Where Jack is usually pitted against robotic enemies that are controlled by Aku, the Powerpuff Girls fight against living creatures, such as Mojo Jojo, a super intelligent monkey, him, a demonic entity with a high-pitched voice, Fuzzy Lumpkins, a Bigfoot-like creature, and Sedusa, who's based on the Gorgon Medusa. In one episode of Samurai Jack, he ends up traveling through a rundown town that many people think closely resembles Townsville, and it's been suggested that the two shows take place in the same universe. This theory is strengthened by the fact that the same billboard advertising dog food can be seen in both shows, both times during each show's first season. The ad features a talking dog, which would have been rather strange during the Powerpuff Girls' time, but has become the norm in the Samurai Jack cartoons. Then there's the fact that Samurai Jack and Professor Utonium share some very similar features, leading some fans to speculate that the two characters may actually be the same man.
Bro, they head just hella
They
boxy.
both wear black and white outfits. They have pale skin, and even share the same hairstyle, with the exception of Jack's ponytail. Both have dark, thick eyebrows and broad shoulders, but Jack, while being a peaceful samurai, is always forced to become violent, whereas Professor Utonium is usually at work in his lab. The theory here states that the Powerpuff Girls were destroyed by Aku at some point, after which Professor Utonium decided to take up a sword to avenge them. But others have suggested that the professor could merely be a distant relative of Jack's. People have also noticed that the two cartoons' villains share some very similar traits. The monkey, Mojo Jojo, became a villain after he came into contact with the chemical X that's later used to create the girls. After this happened, he started to change into the green and black genius that we know. But fans also noticed that he has the same colors as
He's wearing green
Aku,
and black right now.
and that they share a similar accent.
Sorry.
Considering that Aku also emerged from the mysterious black goo, it's the opinion of many fans that these two universes are one and the same. But one comic book featuring Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory added another theory into the mix. The very first issue features a discussion between Dexter, the Powerpuff Girls, and Professor Utonium, during which Dexter explains that Samurai Jack's world is one that connects the multiverse.
It's time to ask more of
Man, what you think about that, man?
I ain't gonna lie, Mojo Jojo. This stuff low-key crazy though. Like they got some bangers, like the Scooby-Doo one and the one we're watching now is kind of interesting. I'm not gonna lie. Though I liked, I always liked Samurai Jack. So, and you're a big fan of the Powerpuff Girls. So,
I am.
for real,
As is.
this nigga proud of it.
Yeah.
Hey, shit. Yeah. Hey.
Alright guys, let's get back into the video.
our browser. Hey Copilot, adjust all these recipes for 7 guests and combine them into one cooking schedule. Also, I'm out of milk.
But he declined to explain the origins of the mysterious chemical X, or why the same billboard can be seen in episodes of the two shows. Then there's the theory that the two cartoons take place in the same era and the same locations, but that the characters are variations of each other. Jack being Utonium and Aku being Mojo Jojo. Whereas the girls face mortal enemies that try to destroy their town, Jack faces off against robots that are under Aku's command in an attempt to stop him from traveling back to his own time, where he can finally deliver the final blow with his sword, ending Aku's reign of terror forever. Jack is constantly trying to find a way back to his own time and his family in order to protect them. Professor Utonium is always very protective over the girls, despite the fact that they have superpowers. Many people have taken this to mean that the two characters are indeed one and the same, but they either live in different dimensions or during different eras. It's a debate that is still to be settled and will likely rage on for some time to come. Number 6. Winnie the Pooh is another beloved cartoon that's known the world over, and many people consider its quirky and varied characters to be some of the best ever created, since each brings something different to the show. Pooh is always on the hunt for honey. His friend Piglet is of a nervous disposition. Eeyore seems to have a lack of lust for life. Tigger is always bouncing around and up for an adventure. Owl constantly impresses everyone with his knowledge, and Rabbit looks to keep everyone in check, though he rarely succeeds. The show focuses on friendships and how we're able to help each other on a daily basis. But some fans have created their own theory, which suggests that each character suffers from a different mental disorder, and strangely, it makes sense. Pooh is always obsessed with honey and is always on the lookout for a way to acquire it, often resulting in his head getting stuck in a jar. When he can't find any, he gets anxious or sad, suggesting that he suffers from an eating disorder of some kind. He also finds it very hard to focus on one task at a time, or complete the one he's busy with, leading some people to believe that he also suffers from attention deficit disorder, since he also becomes hyper-focused on finding honey. Piglet suffers from low self-esteem and anxiety that, according to the theory, is the result of an injury that he sustained in the past. This same injury is said to be the cause of his stutter, and some fans suggest that he might also be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Then there's Owl, who can often be seen with a book at hand, but on many occasions, he forgets what he was reading about or what he was doing. In one episode, he reads the word school, but pronounces it as skull, which suggests that he suffers from dyslexia or short-term memory loss. Tigger finds it hard to sit still at the best of times, and is happiest when he can bounce around on his tail, while usually leaving destruction in his wake. Because of this, it's said that he also suffers from ADHD. Rabbit serves as the voice of reason in the group, but he often loses his temper with the other characters when they cause havoc in his burrow, or when they bother him while he's busy with a task. He also likes to have everything just so, and hence it's thought that he may be suffering from obsessive-compulsive disorder, while living among a group of chaotic characters that are very often frustrating to him. Kanga is Rue's mother, and she can often be seen overly protective of him. On some occasions, she refuses to let him make his own decisions, and some fans think she might have social anxiety disorder. Rue, on the other hand, lives life head-on with very little regard for his own safety. He's often completely unaware that he's in danger, and some think he has an unhealthy habit of sitting in Kanga's pouch. These traits have them convinced that he's autistic.
Damn.
Bro, the ad ain't clapping that loud, bro. Bro, that nigga fucked up and put the ad
Eeyore
right
is
there,
probably most people's favorite character because of his strange demeanor. He's always falling behind and becomes sad when he loses his pin-on tail. He never gets excited about anything, and generally has a dreary outlook on life, suggesting to some people that he suffers from depression. Then lastly, there's Christopher Robin, the group's human friend. While he may seem like a normal boy to most of us, it's been suggested that he suffers from schizophrenia, since none of the other characters are real and only exist in his mind. Each character has different traits depending on the mood that Christopher is in at that particular moment. The reality is that these characters are based on the author's son and stuffed animals. But the theory that they each represent a different mental disorder doesn't seem that far-fetched, despite many of them being undiscovered when Winnie the Pooh was created. Number 5, May of 1999.
Whoa.
Number 5. May of 1999 saw the first appearance.
Ain't no wormhole. That was not no wormhole.
What you think about that, man?
The video was low-key not that bad. Low-key had some interesting theories, you know. I heard some of them, like the Winnie the Pooh theory. I heard that one, but these other ones I never heard of. They're kind of interesting, like the Scooby-Doo. I already said that, but like the fact that it might take place in the past. History's always been my best subject, so I always find that interesting. But yeah, that's my take.
My take on it, it was cool. It was cool, man. Better than just a few other reaction videos we stumbled across, and they told us some knowledgeable stuff that we, you know, should have known. If y'all, excuse me, if y'all didn't know that, you know, self-explanatory. In my opinion, I feel like I'm a big conspiracy theorist, so I knew most of this stuff. Yeah. But we are gonna end this reaction video, so make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, we will be back with part 2 of this video. So, until next time,
peace.
Peace.